I think real estate as a career is absolutely the best opportunity on the planet. If you're a hard worker, if you're a hustler, real estate is a jam because you've got a high ticket item. So I can sell houses and change people's lives through financial wealth and legacy, or I can impact the lives of the people, changing lots of people's lives through impact and legacy. And it's a compound effect.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Remington Ramsey, and today my guest is Tara Smith from the Ohio Valley region of Keller Williams. How are you, Tara?
I am amazing. Super happy to be here.
I love that pronunciation of your name, and if I screw it up, I apologize ahead of time. Correct me. I won't be offended, and I hope I don't offend you. But Tara, very beautiful pronunciation of your name. You have been in the industry and are a franchise owner of 4 locations, having come from being a single mom, a stay-at-home mom, not single mom, but stay-at-home mom of eventually 6 kids. And what I think is fascinating about your story is the progression of getting into real estate, figuring out, okay, I can actually sell homes, and then figuring out that leadership within real estate is where you're going to end up, because you've mentioned a couple times to us that every day you think you should start selling real estate again, because you actually haven't sold since 2017. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
So 7 years of not selling real estate, and you're watching and you're coaching, you do MAPS coaching, and you've got 4 brokerages. And so you're watching it, and what makes you say that? You just see like the income opportunity that's at their fingertips?
Yeah, I mean, I think real estate as a career is absolutely the best opportunity on the planet. And the last year that I sold full time, I sold 78 houses, and it was fun. I mean, I made a lot of money that year, and I had a plan to continue selling. I was going to build a team, and got into coaching and really found my passion on the leadership path. But I absolutely believe, like, if you're a hard worker, if you're a hustler, real estate is a jam because you've got a high ticket item. If you care about people, like it's really hard to not be successful if you truly do it for the right reason. And it's unlimited. I mean, and I shared this with you, but my business partner makes almost $4 million a year selling houses. And actually, he's not sold one in over 5 years. He's got a great business. So I just think it's an awesome opportunity. And interestingly, because we do have about 800 agents in our offices, I think we have people that see the opportunity and take it. And we also see a lot of people that squander the opportunity and they absolutely don't hit their potential. So that's the fun part of, working with independent contractors.
All right. So you're coaching these guys on a regular basis. You have 800 of them and even more that you're coaching through MAPS. But what makes you decide hey, I'm actually pretty good at this. I made a lot of money doing it and I had fun doing it. So then what is the thing that makes the decision to get into coaching and not selling?
Yeah. So that goes back to like my childhood, and without going into all the details of it, this is my personal belief. I really believe that each person was born with unique gifts and talents, and it's our opportunity. For me, I believe it's my obligation to live out those gifts and talents. And if I choose not to do it, then there's a missing spot in the world. Like that's my job. That's my life mission. My life mission is to impact and change as many people's lives as I can, and ultimately to change the world. And I believe a single person can do that. So why I moved into leadership is it's just you can impact more people on a larger scale by impacting the people that then impact people. So I can sell houses and change people's lives through financial wealth and legacy, or I can impact the lives of the people, changing lots of people's lives through impact and legacy. And it's a compound effect, essentially.
So what made you make the decision to get into MAPS coaching, having already owned these brokerages? Are you doing both at the same time?
So I actually have been a MAPS coach since 2017, and okay. I stepped into a franchise owner in 2020. So I was coaching with MAPS, coaching agent business. My specialty was 200 to 1,000 units a year. So I was what we called a cadre level coach. And I really coached big business, organization, and a lot of that was leadership focus and talent attraction. And so that was kind of my jam. And I had an opportunity to step back into a Keller Williams office that I was an investor in as an interim team leader. And the team leader is kind of the talent attractor in the market.
Yeah.
And I did that, and we hit some really big records and got the opportunity in 2020 to step in as the franchise owner of that location.
Okay, so that was your first entrance into owning it, and then you're like, hey, that's pretty fun. I'd like to own 3 more. Or was there just an opportunity that came one step at a time?
It's so interesting because, first of all, when I decided I wanted to own a franchise, like it just felt kind of like a rung on a ladder. Hey, I want to be we call them operating principal.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know what they did. I just thought that would be pretty cool to own a Keller Williams franchise.
Yeah.
And I actually got in the job and I was like, wait a minute. This is the job? I don't know if I like this job. And so I had to do some real self-reflection and kind of get comfortable with not being in the day-to-day all the time and touching every person. Because you've kind of moved up to a 30,000 foot view and you're now succeeding through others. And that's a process, right? That's a lifelong learning process. But it was interesting. So I get in the role, don't really know what it is. And I'm kind of acclimating to what the thing is and what I'm going to do. And we did a great job. I did a great job in that market center and got another opportunity. And I was in coaching at that time. I'm a huge believer in coaching. And my coach and I built a business plan to own 5 market centers. And why? I don't know why. It was just like, what if you own 5? And none of them were like top in the company, but they all were average performers. What would happen? And we built this pro forma. And after about 2 years in the role, I'm on a call with my coach and I go, you know what? This is hard. I don't think I want to own 5. At this time, I have 2, and I'm like, I am really happy with 2. Yeah. I don't need, I think.
When you went from 1 to 2, what was the hardest thing that made you say that?
Because with 1, you can be involved in everything.
Yeah.
Now with 2, I got to split my time, and I can't be all things to all people. With 4, where I'm at now, I'm really learning, what does it really look like to cast a vision and create an opportunity in a world big enough that my talent wants to stay in it? And then how do I truly succeed and motivate others where I could just in one market center, I could go in and do the jobs. I mean, if I get something done, I'd just do it. Trash needs to taken out. You just take it out. Right.
Mm-hmm. So when you have 4, you have the hierarchy that you actually have to create more rules because you don't have enough time to spend. It's 25% of you in each market isn't going to be enough. So you have to duplicate yourself or create this hierarchy of a position that you couldn't really justify hiring someone with just 1 or 2 locations.
Yeah, I think it's setting standards and then hiring people that are bought in at the level you are, and they would run your company just like you would. And that's not always easy it's not, we're on real producers, right? Yeah. And so these top agents either have figured this out or they will, they're special. So like recreating yourself and duplicating yourself through other people and getting the same, if not a better result. It sounds really sexy, but the reality is it's tricky, right? So
what do you even call that role? Are you relying more on the team leaders in those markets, or did you create another role underneath you that is a part owner or assistant owner?
So right now, so kind of to backtrack, I got into 2 market centers and then I was happy. I was like, this is enough. Yeah. And then I hired a really talented team leader in Lexington. His name's Joseph Miller. And Joseph is 10 years younger than me. And he's ready to set the world on fire. Mm-hmm. And that's where I really learned, like, if I want to keep my Joseph, if I want to keep this amazing talent in my world, I've got to create bigger opportunities. And so for us at that time, it was, how do we have enough companies that he could grow into a general manager position? And that's kind of where we're at. It's like we went from messy middle to, okay, now we're going to play big. And actually, how big do we want to play? Mm-hmm. Right. So that's kind of the evolution of where we're at.
Well, let's back up even further than that because I was telling you in the pre-show, I feel like there's going to be someone listening to this thinking, and maybe they're even going to get their hands on this and they're not even in real estate yet. Because I think your story is not unique in the fact that a lot of times a stay-at-home parent decides to get their real estate license for various reasons, and then some of them actually take off. And so you were one that took off. But I have a note here that you said you almost lost everything, your business in the first 3 years. So and that's a very pivotal time where you're trying to figure out, is this right for me? Like I've seen people go before me and I feel like I can do this, but then lies start to creep in, certain things about the market start to shift your thinking. So how did you almost fail in your first 3 years?
Yeah. So before I answer that, I don't want to forget this. I think that you've got two different kinds of people, right? We have people that absolutely hear people say, oh, don't do that, or it won't work for you, or their own limited thinking says, you're never going to figure this out, and they believe it. And then you have other people that go, well, wait a minute, if it's possible, then it's possible for me.
Yeah.
And so I think we've got to be real intentional in, are we going to buy into the limited beliefs, or are we going to say, hey, if it could happen for anybody, I can also do it. And so what happened with me in my first 3 years? So I was a stay-at-home mom. I got my license because I thought it would be really fun to walk through houses. That was it. It was like, I had this adorable little dollhouse when I was a little girl, and I played with it, and I always loved floor plans, and I would draw them on paper.
But I'm surely the part of it had to be income opportunity, no?
I think I was just looking for something to do. I mean, I was probably bored and or needed an escape from my reality at the time. But anyway, I got my license, and it was interesting. I joined a really small local brokerage. There were about 8 people, and it was the first place I interviewed, and they wanted me. And that meant like, this is where I belong. And I joined this company, and they give me an office, and it's really dated, had the big bulky executive desk and the phone. And I'm showing up, every day for a few weeks. And
did you like that or no?
Showing up?
Well, the big bulky desk, was it like a dream come true, or are you like, this doesn't fit me?
I mean, I think when you are a stay-at-home mom and you've never had a career, like just being able to say I have an office, was like, for me, it was just, I felt like there was something. Yeah.
So it was cool. It was a cool moment for you.
Yeah, it was just like, hey, I'm doing something. And what really ended up happening is I showed up and nothing happened. And I realized I have to go find business. Like, I thought the phone would just start ringing. Like, I would show up in this cool office and my phone would ring, and I sat there and like nothing's happening. So and I'm an introvert. Like, this is reality. On a scale of 1 to 10, on a scale of 0 to 10, I'm about a 1. So somebody I go, where do I get business? And they go, oh, you got to pick up your phone and call people. And it's like, what? Like, they're not going to call me. They don't know that I'm a real estate agent. And so very quickly I learned that like I had to get up every day and hunt and fish, and it was uncomfortable for me. And I didn't know what to say. And I, hadn't had any training. And I really struggled in the first few years, just kind of getting my feet underneath me and figuring out what to do.
And then how many years were you just selling houses before you got into leadership?
Actually, so I got my license in 2007. My first kind of venture in leadership was 2014. And I was in a team leader role for almost a year. And then
did you stop selling houses in that role?
I did. I stopped selling in that role. And then I took a break from leadership for about 3 years. And then I came back in as a MAPS coach.
So did you get back into selling houses in those 3 years?
I did.
Was that tough? Was that tough too? I mean, I'm imagining if you put all your listings on hold and all your buyers on hold for an entire year, you're referring out the business and then you're drumming it back up again. Was that difficult to like start, stop?
So in 2014, I got divorced, and I was a single mom. And I can tell you that we got a lot of single moms out there. And so tough or not, you just got to do what it takes. So So I didn't really have an option. It was like kind of get in there and start going because I had to pay my bills and take care of my kiddos.
Yeah. So then you start crushing it and selling homes. And where I'd like to transition is the market right now, because we've had a lot of discussion around this for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. We were fat and happy as an industry. It was coming pretty easy. You get your license, you sell houses, you make money, rinse and repeat. And then 2020 happens and it actually gets better for a little bit and then comes crashing down. And then we have all the things, the lawsuits, the interest rates, the lack of inventory. But I've got a quote here that you say, we see the market as a huge opportunity. And I've heard that before. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, this is simple math. This is why my brain about every day goes, man, you should go sell about 300 houses a year. We know at the beginning of 2024, NAR and some of the other big, visionaries in the industry projected 30 to 50% fallout in the next 3 years for agents in the industry.
Yep.
So if I'm a resilient, gritty, going to do whatever it takes salesperson, and I know that 40% of the agents in the industry are going to fall out, and I truly believe that I write my own destiny, which I do. I believe that I can get up and sell houses. I could get up tomorrow and list a house. If I really wanted to do it and I made the calls, I would go list a house. So if you truly believe that and 40% of your competition is gone, it's going to be one of the best markets. There are agents in this market. They're going to grab market share and they'll never look back. They'll take this and it will be their career launching year for probably the next 15 or 20. It's an amazing time. Why
do you feel like on paper, what you're saying sounds like it should work? Why do you feel like some even top producers are struggling in this market?
I think they're probably surrounding themselves with the 40%.
That's a good point. Do you feel like that? So that's the number I've heard that number for 38% plus of agents are going to be out of the business in the next 3 years. Have you heard any details on the prediction of people getting in the industry? I don't know how you would predict that, but do you feel like there's because of the lawsuits and some of the other things, do you feel like we're going to have a lower number of people getting into the industry in the next 3 years?
So two-part answer here. One is we are seeing a softening of people entering the industry. There was a major influx during COVID. Okay. But the thing that popped into my head as you were asking the question, if I'm running a 26-mile marathon and I'm on mile 10 and somebody inserts on mile 1, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I'm Kobe Bryant. I've been running for 3 hours ahead of you. You're not ever going to catch me.
Wow. I haven't heard that analogy. I like that a lot. 26.2. So you love to read. What are some of your favorite books?
Oh gosh. Couple of my favorites, Relentless by Tim Grover. That's where I kind of fell in love with Kobe Bryant. I love the book Untamed by Glennon Doyle. And the Go-Giver is one of my absolute favorites, which is about stratospheric success. And it's 5 laws, but essentially if you get up and you give more than you receive in compensation every day, if you just outgive, you get anything you could ever imagine and more.
Is that John Gordon?
I
Carpenter. I could be wrong.
I think you're close.
People who are driving right now are screaming at the radio right now. Power versus Force book.
Yes, I just finished that. That's about energy and frequency. Amazing.
Can you apply that to sales or mindset?
Yeah. Your life. Your whole life. So you want me to give you a little brief synopsis?
Sure, yeah, give me a synopsis.
So when we look at the average person, agent, or whatever you're doing, living in the reality of whether you're a victim in your life or you have choice, there's frequencies, right? So if you're a victim, it's a very low frequency. If you're angry, if you have sorrow, regret, those are frequencies. Gratitude, love, resolve, there's high frequency things. The entire planet right now, so at the frequency of 200, that's where people start to understand that they have a choice in their destiny, essentially. So we're no longer just blowing around in the wind. We can actually decide what we want and we can make it happen. the entire planet, the average frequency is 205. So
Okay.
it's very low. You've got some real high achievers, people that get up and they manifest things and they happen. But you've got a lot of society that just gets up and they're unhappy and they really don't believe that they can make change. And
What's
so
the scale? If 205 is what the average is, what's high?
1,000.
1,000 is what it goes up to?
Yeah, that would be, you've got, I mean, up in the high ones, you would see like Gandhi, Mother Teresa, you know, really high level people that served the world at a very high level.
And so the frequency, this argument would say that if you are taking that approach to life, then getting stuck in the weeds would include all the things that we see typically fighting on Facebook, politics, all those things. And the way to combat that is to what?
Well, this is the other part of this, unconscious and conscious beliefs. So if I tell you I'm going to make $1 million this year, my conscious mind is saying that, but does my subconscious mind believe it? And 95% of reality, what actually happens for you is happening subconsciously.
Okay.
So we can say whatever we want, but if we don't believe it in the depth of our being, we're probably not going to start to move pieces around in our life to make it happen.
So then what do you do for your unconscious to get it to believe?
Well, reprogramming, meditation, reading books, being around people that believe differently. You know, I think a lot of people, you know, we're told what we're capable of, or we're told what's right and wrong. We're told, like, I grew up believing money was the root of all evil. And now I want to make as much money as I possibly can make because I also like to give it. I love to give to charity. I want to create a legacy. I like to anonymously donate to things. And so I now believe if I make more money, I can give more money. And it's not evil. It's a good thing because I'm willing to go do the things to make that happen.
What made you think when you were younger that it was the root of all evil? Did you grow up and like, is it because you didn't have it and the people that did, you didn't agree with? What contributes to that belief?
Yeah, I think for me, that was a little bit of like religious programming, things from the Bible or scripture or things that were kind of just shared in a way that it was really said in a way that I wouldn't idolize money, right? And the analogy we use a lot in our world is if money is a brick and I hand it to you, is that brick bad or good?
That's the way you do with it.
That's right. I can build a house with it and create shelter, or I can throw it through a window and break glass. I mean, so that was just for me an opportunity to look at, is it really evil for me to go out and make a lot of money? Probably not. If I do something bad with the money, maybe, but if I'm going to help a lot of people, it's a good thing.
Yeah. We talk about that even in our franchise training for real producers. I let them know, like, you know, most of the time when you get in here, you're going to work hard and you're going to have a potential to make a lot of money. And where most people struggle is they don't have a plan for that money past their own living situation. And so once because I grew up, I didn't have a lot of money growing up. And when I did have money, we had to spend it. So that creates bad spending habits. When you get more money, you don't have the good habits of saving. You have to spend it. So you get more money, you spend more money.
Spending more money. Yeah.
Right. So if you have someone come in and they decide, okay, well, in order to live, it costs $100,000. So once I get to 100,000, it's hard to motivate someone past themselves. And really, it's almost reshaping the mindset and thinking of a person is like, what is your purpose? Because if your purpose is to just provide for yourself and maybe a handful of people under you, maybe your family, then there's not going to be much incentive for you to work harder and really set an example to strive for greatness. But if you have a plan for that money, then good things can happen and you can strive for greatness because you can impact so many more people. When you're coaching with MAPS, how much of that mindset are you talking? Are you encouraging people to like dig into like the passion of what they can do with money?
Yeah, we talk about 90% of success being mindset related. So, I mean, the reality is what you were just talking about is called survival, and it is a very low energy frequency. So if you get up every single day and regardless of what I say I'm going to do, inside of me, I just need to pay my bills. I just need to survive. then everything I'm putting out subconsciously that's coming back to me is a reality of survival. And that's why people get super stuck. And so a lot of what we do in coaching is we encourage people to dream about what is your best life? What's the end game? And you know what's interesting? So while you were saying that, I was thinking about I love Gaia. It's an app and it's a lot about meditation and just mindset and things like that. There's a series called Transcendence that Joe Dispenza, he's on that first episode. And he literally says one of the biggest challenges we have as a society is people have no mission. They have no long-term goals. And so it's really difficult to motivate someone who doesn't actually know what they want. Like I can say, man, 100,000 for us, I can take a brand new agent, new to the industry, and I feel like 100,000 is year one. Easy. 6 figures, year one. We teach a class to get them to 6 figures in their first year. And yet, if they don't believe it's possible for them, or there's fear or limited beliefs, it doesn't matter what we do or say. They have to get out of their own way and believe that that's something positive for them. And I think it's huge. Like, it's probably the biggest roadblock we have in helping people get to an amazing life is their own limited mindset. They have no direction, right? They don't know where they're going, if they deserve it or if they want it, you know?
I think that initial, if you could channel back your first 3 years, having never had real estate success, in trying to teach someone to dream that and live their dreams and dress for the job they want, not the job they have kind of attitude, that's, in my opinion, the most challenging time. The most challenging time in ramping up a Real Producers magazine is before the magazine exists. It's before it's doing all the work and not getting any of the money because there's nothing to print. And so coaching somebody on the mindset of showing up because of the potential of what's going to happen is as a coach one of the most challenging things. Do you find as people are being put on your roster, what's the number one limiting belief that it seems to be across the board that people have?
Yeah.
Or one of the top ones that is like reoccurring for you?
I'm going to be really transparent here. I'm very selective around who I put in my coaching roster because reprogramming limiting beliefs is a lifelong journey. Do you know how I shared that 205 is the average for our society?
Yeah.
The book also says in an entire generation of life with people, the average of the society increase is only 5 points. Very few people make dramatic change to what they think and believe in a lifetime. And so when I do that initial screening call for coaching, I pretty much just ask, do you want to be the best? This is a competition. Do you want to be number one? Do you want to get the trophy? Because I know it's not that I don't want to help other people. I do that in our market centers every day. But to be like, if I'm coaching the dream team and I'm coaching the Olympic basketball team, I'm looking for Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant because that's a reflection of me as the coach. And while I want to help everybody, not everybody is coming into the game with that mindset. Right. So coaching for me, it's kind of limited and I learn a lot from my clients and they learn from me. And I really want to be coaching somebody that's like going to go get it.
You know, what's challenging. And by the way, I did look it up because we have the power of the internet while we're talking. It's Bob Berg is.
That's right. And he lives in Florida, I believe. Yes.
Yeah. Also Endless Referrals, great author. Yes. I feel like the conversation that you have with people over limiting beliefs, it'd be impossible to keep talking about breaking through and doing great things unless you get people to actually understand their purpose in life. And I think that's challenging because a lot of us have differing views on religion and what happens after we die. And so if you've got someone who's struggling and their limited belief is because they've never found success, but ultimately, Matthew Kelly talks about most people leading lives of quiet desperation, which is, I think, probably similar to what you're talking about with the low frequency, like 205 or below. And And if most people, and this is a generalizing like word to say, like most people, but if we agree with that, most people are living lives of quiet desperation where they're not seeking out their purpose. I mean, as a coach, are you tapping into really helping them not only realize their full potential, but actual purpose in life?
Yeah. So we teach a class called Quantum Leap, and Gary Keller wrote it. And like we tell our agents, you should take this course before you ever set a goal. And the class, they actually write their personal mission, vision, value, belief, and purpose. And that actually define, then we go into, okay, so now that we understand your purpose, how much money do we need to make to support that? And if you do it the other way, it feels like an unending, like hitting ceilings, lack of motivation. Like we're not really running after something. And back to something else you said, with people that really decide they want to change their life, I think a lot of times that happens through some sort of trauma. I think that life happens, for a lot of people, we all have stories, right? It's what we're going to do in that situation and the choices we make. Are we going to let that define us? Or are we going to allow that to be a springboard and say, I'm going to learn from this? Like maybe I don't ever want to be like this person was to me. So I'm going to do something different. Right. And so I think you see a lot of highly successful people that have experienced either childhood trauma or some sort of life altering event. And they've taken that moment to become more.
I love that. And that provides a great segue for my last question that I had for you. There's a quote that I had from your interview with Bobby, and it says, I can generally outrun what's coming. And I think what you were talking about in the context of that is the market and understanding what's happening, again, with where we're at in 2024. But let me ask you something for 2025. We kind of know what's happening right now. What is coming? What are you going to outrun for this next year? What do you predict?
I think that for most people, it's just a choice. Like, I mean, the reality is like, if you think you can or you think you can't, that's what it is. And so for us right now, my goal is to continue to be the number one place for top producers to grow their business, create a lasting legacy, and really change for a lot of people, it's changing like the history of their family tree, right? So we're just continuing to say, how do we become the elite place for top producers and continue to go deeper and deeper into relationships, business models, and the things that we truly believe agents are going to need to be successful. And to be honest, a lot of it is mindset and who you surround yourself with. I have big belief for people. And I think sometimes we just need one person to believe with us to do what we need to do. And, unfortunately, I think a lot of people don't have that. They don't have the person that's like standing in the ring with them. They actually have a lot of people saying, that's not possible. It's going to be a horrible year or whatever. And we are like jacked up because I think it's going to be amazing. And I'm just constantly looking at, who are the people that we can believe with and just get behind and push them to that success.
I don't know for sure, but I think your answer to the person who's sitting there thinking, I don't have that person. We've heard the phrase, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Let's say you are that person that Tara is talking about that doesn't even have that one person in their corner. If you really think about it, I think you would argue that next step that person should make is getting a coach. And I think at least I would agree with that, because that is definitely someone who's going to be in your corner, not only cheering you on, but also giving you the tools. Would you agree with that?
Gary Keller said this best. You would be hard pressed in any endeavor, any field, any industry to find a successful person without at a minimum one coach, if not one in every key area of their life. And I think we try to wing it. And if this is your career and you really want to make an impact, you got to have the coach, because 80% of success is tied to accountability. And it absolutely should not be your partner. It should be someone you're paying to put a little pain or a little pleasure on your goals.
I like it. From legendary coach herself, Tara Smith, thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure.
If you want to impact who is on the show or what we talk about, please email us at podcast@realproducersmag.com. This has been a great conversation around coaching and mindset. Go get yourself a coach. We'll see you next time.